Yogi Ramsuratkumar. As I've been saying, today is a very special day. We call it Vaikuntha Ekadashi, meaning it's a day of fasting for the sake of Vishnu. The abode of Vishnu is called Vaikuntha, where people are eternally happy. They are in the Narayana Seva. They do Seva to Mahavishnu very happily, and they are divine people in Vaikuntha. They are called Nitya Suris, and they are great celestial beings. They are very happy with the chanting of the name Narayana and Seva. There are great celestial beings who do only that. They live with Mahavishnu in his world called Vaikuntha. They are in the service of Vishnu all the time, remembering the Lord, praising the Lord, and doing Seva happily for the sake of the Lord. For the Vaishnavas, this is the highest state. In bhakti, your Nama and Seva, they themselves will give you a sense of fulfillment that you don't need or you don't feel like asking for anything more. If there is anything more, it will be given by God, by Himself. So that's a great thing in bhakti. You feel so happy to chant the name of the divine. You feel so happy to live, breathe, and do things for the sake of the divine. There in bhakti, you feel very grateful that you are given the fortune of the Nama and the fortune of Seva. So humility, the Lord is the highest. He is the only existence. I am nothing. I am a zero, and He is my only hero. I will not accept anything else. So this humility, where the ego goes down and down and down, so that there will be only ego to serve. Ego enough to serve and chant the name, because chanting the name is Dvaita. You think that there is name apart from you, and you chant the name. But in chanting the name, you become one with the Nama. And in doing the Seva, whatever Seva you do to anybody, you think that you are doing it for the sake of Lord Vishnu, and you feel so happy that you are given this opportunity. It's a great fortune to serve the Lord. Today we see among the Sevaks so much resistance. They do Seva, but they want to dominate. And there is competition, ego clash. And they are being harsh to each other, speak ill of each other, and then resistance. To say that I have got resistance is people pride in it. You see, they don't understand it's an ego's dimension, and that the ego is getting them into the trap. Any pride over anything, pride in chanting the name, pride in doing Seva, will be your ruin. Instead, a devotee is very, very grateful that you got this great opportunity, the great fortune of serving. The great fortune, after many, many, many thousands of births, you come to hear about God. You get the human birth, and then you continue as human still, as some sort of animal, because you have taken birth from the animal state to the human state. There will still be many animal characteristics. Then several births go. And there you get more and more purified. And then comes a human birth, you come to hear about God. So, to get the name of God from a guru, to be able to do seva, it's a great fortune, a great treasure. So in that sense, you're very, very grateful to God for letting you know that there is something huge and eternal, and that you are able to think of Him. You are able to do seva. So this humility is a sterling characteristic in the path of love, the path of bhakti. And whatever help you render to anybody, you do it not for the sake of that person, you do it for the sake of the guru, you do it for the sake of God. Guru and God are one and the same. They are not different. It is God coming down in the form of the guru, in the form of a teacher, just to discipline you. But discipline, very difficult to undergo. The ego resists. And it creates all kinds of doubts about the guru, about the path of bhakti, about God. These doubts, and thinking ill of the guru, talking ill of the devotees. So many temptations, so many traps available easily, and people fall into the trap. So, do not pride in resisting, saying, oh, I have resistance. You go on a strike. And then in doing seva, oh, this is my seva. Only I am allotted this role. No one else should step into this territory. Division. This is my territory, that's your territory. Division. Division is the sure sign of ego. The ego keeps dividing all the time. Whereas if your heart expands and expands, then it is all-inclusive. In the ego, there is exclusion. In the divine, there is inclusion. So, we must remember this day, this Vaikuntha Ekadashi, the Vaishnavites have this idea, this feeling that humble seva to God, to anyone in the name of God, and humble remembrance of God by remembering the name. When they refer to themselves, they say Adiyen, Adiyen, Adiyen. Adiyen means I belong to the holy feet. Adi means the feet. I belong to the holy feet of my Lord, the holy feet of my Guru. So Adiyen means I am the dust of the holy feet. So they will never say I. Adiyen. Adiyen. இந்த மாதிரி ஃபீல் பண்ணுறேன், அடியேன் இதை செய்கிறேன்னா. But people say Adiyen, Adiyen, and they Adiyen. Adi also meaning beating. So they say Adiyen, 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 and they keep beating other people. So it means both. Adi is also one step. Taking one step, taking one foot. So Adi means the foot. Adi means the beating. So you have to decide which Adiyen you belong to. They say Adiyen, Adiyen, and they criticize people loudly, and they are very harsh to people, and then they say that they know better, and then this and that. You should not belong to that class of Adiyens. So when you say Adiyen, I am under the feet of the divine. I am nothing. You are, they refer to everyone else as Bhagavat. Bhagavat means a devotee. All the others become devotees. I am at the foot. I'm the footer. If there is such a word, I belong to the divine feet. So I am the footer, the foot servant, the divine foot servant. And you are a devotee. And it is my great fortune to serve you. Instead of serving harsh words, you serve love. That is true Adiyen. But the human nature, we do not know in which birth we are still. So the animal characteristics continue. The fear, strong fear, this uncontrollable anger, they're all typical animal characteristics. But there is still one difference between the animal and the human. The animal will eat only when it needs it, only when it is hungry, otherwise it won't care. It won't turn this side or that side. Whereas the human being eats at every chance, at every opportunity, because we have the taste. And the tongue has two functions. One is taste of food, ruin. The other is the taste for talk, blah, 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 blah. So both have to be controlled if you have to take the path of love, the path of bhakti. You have to be the humblest among the lot. And you serve people in the spirit of surrender to the Lord, in the spirit of service to the Lord. And what's more, you find your fulfillment in that. Oh God, what more do I need? I have your grace all the time. I'm able to serve. I'm able to remember you. I'm able to serve. What more do I need? And God would take such a devotee and put him in his lap and merge him. Why? Because the ego is at its lowest. When the ego is at its lowest, when you are the humblest, then the grace is at its highest. We say the water comes down, in the pits easily. So a pit is the humility. So the river of grace flows in abundance. It floods into the pits. That is why Jesus said, blessed are the meek and the lowly. They're so, you have seen in the village side, those people, the farmers and those people, they will stand only like this, like this. This is Adiyen. I belong to the feet of the Lord. I'm nothing. I'm here only to serve you. Serve you, the devotees. And such is the one, the great vessel for grace. So the spirit of service is very important. But these days people serve and they're very aware that they are serving, and at every opportunity they don't miss the opportunity to say, I'm serving you. I am serving, I am serving, I am serving. And I am serving is the ruin. Because you cannot serve. You remember the incident I used to tell people that after the whole night, struggling with sleep and still chanting and chanting, sometimes eating pickle so that I would become alert. After 20,000 namas, at 4 o'clock, early morning when Bhagwan was sitting there in the veranda of Sudama, I rushed to him with great joy that I could spend the whole night awake and chant the Nama 20,000 times. I expected a huge pat on my back and a beautiful, bewitching smile from him as a reward, expectation. I was aware that I had spent the night awake and I was chanting, and I was chanting. And then, in spite of what I expected, he looked at me, he stared at me, he frowned upon me and said, no use, no use, no use. Imagine after a hard struggle through the night against all that sleep, attack of sleep. You know how the sleep attacks? You will see tomorrow morning after 4 o'clock. So, in spite of the attacks of sleep, I was also priding over, oh, look, I could manage, I could do it. So here, that is the Guru. Why God comes down in the form of the Guru, in the form of a teacher. Only a teacher can discipline us. You are not afraid of your father, you're not afraid of your mother. But when you go to LKG, from LKG the training is, when you go to the teacher, you're scared of the teacher. So the God comes down in the form of the Guru. He said, no use, Devaki, no use. I had the shock of my life. That was the first time I stayed up in the night. Until today, I'm not able to sleep in the night. I sleep generously during the daytime. But in the nights, the mind is very alert. The yogi, the night is the day for the yogi, and the day is the night. Yogi's life is reversed. I'm not a yogi, but still they're force of habit. So, what I'm saying, the Guru does it. You cannot claim any glory. No use, Devaki. Remember this gesture always. Whenever you pride over something, no use. No use. No matter how much hard work you have done, it's no use. Why? The vital feeling, the fundamental vital feeling is missing. What? The Lord, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, my Guru made me do it. My God made me do it. I am not capable of that. I could not have done it. But for the grace, even the struggle, the hard struggle that you go through cannot happen without the grace. And the grace is sitting right inside you. The supreme consciousness, the supreme divinity is right inside you, blessing you, blessing you, blessing you all the time. It's only when you remember God, the ego remembers God, this blessing is felt. The times you remember God, the times you render some seva selflessly, the grace is felt. The grace is there all the time. The divine is sitting right inside you. And the divine, the presence of the divine is presence of grace. But for the presence of grace, but for the presence of the divine, there will be no breath in the body. You are fit only for burning or burial. So the grace is there all the time. You are carrying the huge grace within you. Your very breath is rooted in the grace, but the breath doesn't know. The ego doesn't know it. Your brain doesn't know it. So I said, Bhagwan, I completed 20,000. I stayed up the whole night and I completed 20,000 now. No use, Devaki. No use. And he saw the shock in my eyes, the question, unvoiced question. And he said, Devaki, you said you were doing it. Could you do that? It's my father, Devaki. He would point, I said, There is Father alone exists, there is nothing else, no one else. Then why do you say Father is? He said, people understand only that language. So we have to speak the language that people understand. If you say Father, Father here, people won't understand. When I say Father, and every, oh, the heaven. So he said, Father, Devaki, Father made you do it. The very breath is because of Father's grace. That you are able to see how many people are blind, how many people cannot hear, how many people are handicapped, lame. They are not able to walk, they are not able to see, they are not able to hear. But we are very, very fortunate. We have healthy body, we are able to function very well, but we forget how we function. But for the presence of grace, we cannot function. Anything can go wrong with the breath. Anything can go wrong with the brain, with the eyes, with the ears, with the legs. Right? So, we have to be very, very grateful that we got a healthy body and a healthy mind. We have come to hear about God. We are able to remember God. And by His grace, we will continue to remember God. And remembering God, love for God must turn into love for fellow beings. And kindness to the lower beings, the animal kingdom, the plants and animals. And love for fellow beings. And that love in turn must turn into Seva. Now today, this 4 to 5 is a very, very special time. We call it the opening of the heavens. In all Vishnu temples, 4 o'clock, the whole night, people would assemble. Hundreds and thousands of them would be there. They would be crowding into the space in all the Vishnu temples, waiting for this 4 o'clock. And then the door is closed the whole night. At 4 o'clock, when there is one devotee called Nammalvar, the devotee actually, and the Vishnu, the Murtis would be coming out. And then just having this darshan and entering into that space is called going into the heaven. And it's considered as a great, great fortune by the Vaishnavites. They would start assembling the previous day evening itself to get a space near the door, near the threshold. Of course, we don't have to crowd into those places and get crushed. So here, we can sit comfortably, this 4 to 5, spend time remembering God. That's what we did today. Right from 4 o'clock, we were chanting the name and walking around doing bhajans. So this heaven is open to us. We had entered the heavens. It's a very auspicious time, very precious. Since we are not able to do much tapasya, sadhana in Kali Yuga, the mind keeps wandering. God has given certain specific days and certain specific times when you invest money for higher interest, right? So these are all higher interest time. One nama, you get the benefit of 1,000 namas. So we had put the time to use, a proper use, in remembrance of God. So we can consider ourselves very fortunate, but we must do it with all humility. Right? And the whole day, whether it is Vishnu or Shiva, whether it is Shivaratri or Vishnu Din, remembering God, remembering the name, remembering God, in some way or the other, doing seva to people kindly. Even kindness, Vivekananda will flare up if somebody mentioned the word kindness, who are we to be kind to people? We have to be humble. God should be kind to us. And we have to do service in the humble spirit. So no one can be kind to another being. So remember, but for the presence of grace within, the breath cannot function. If the breath cannot function, your brain cannot function. And if your brain cannot function, you are no better than the vegetables in the market. Should you not be grateful to Him for the very breath? Should we not be grateful to Him because we are able to see, we are able to hear, we are able to talk, and you have to talk only sense? We must put this power to the right use. Otherwise, in the next birth, you will lose the power of speech. You will be born dumb. Whichever power we put to misuse, we'll have to pay back heavily. You remember, the rainy season, you see heaps of worms. Have you ever seen? Heaps of them. They were all killers, senseless killers, cutting people into pieces and living anyway. They're still animals in the form of human beings. They've taken us the birth, human birth, but still the animal characteristics continue. It takes some time to evolve. But all this is happening by the will of God. It is part of the world show. You should remember that also. So, let us remember that this is at once a reality and Maya. Maya from a higher sense and reality in our day-to-day life. And we have to be very, very humble and do service to other people in the spirit of surrender to God, in the spirit of service to God, and feel very happy and fortunate that we have been chosen by the Lord to do this. Not pride over it, but be happy with a sense of fulfillment that we got this great opportunity to do that. So let us make the best of the whole day and the whole night. Just remembering God. Drop everything else. You are not running your life. The divine, the Hinduism says, God is running your life. Buddhism says, your life is lived. No one lives the life because it's shunya. Whereas Hinduism says, the state is not shunya, it's filled with blissful peace. It's full. It's fullness. It's not shunya. Shunya means empty. It's only an expression. But they all mean the same thing. Because the experience can only be the same. So, for us, we can have this sense of fulfillment right here, now and here, by just remembering God and doing any service that we are capable of in the spirit of service to God, the spirit of surrender. And make sure you don't taste things. You don't eat for the taste. You eat for the need and you talk for the need. Only when there is a need to talk, you talk because we waste so much of precious energy in talking. Especially when you criticize others so loudly, forgetting to look inward, what defects you yourself have. You are spending such precious energy which you earned the hard way simply on criticism and talking ill of people. So much wastage. The very thought itself is wastage. That's why we have to reach the state of thought-free state. So every thought makes noise which you cannot hear, thank God. but it is noise, it consumes energy, every thought. And if it's a negative thought, it consumes much more energy. That's why after some negative thought, you feel very exhausted, tired. The thought, it consumes your energy. So the lesser the thoughts, the greater will be the peace. So take care of your tongue. Tie the tongue to a nama so that the tongue will get busy with the nama. You won't have time to talk about this and that. And when you don't talk about it, it doesn't grow. The thoughts behind the talk will also disintegrate because you're not entertaining the thoughts. You are entertaining the thought when you begin to talk about it. But you cut the talk, the thoughts will also vanish. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, we have just 5 minutes more. If you have anything to ask, you can ask. But the daytime, see if you can spend just eating some fruits, fresh or dry, and milk. Milk is supposed to be sattvic. We do not know what the cows are fed with, but let us take it as sattvic and be happy with the milk so that you can keep awake in the night. Anything to ask? Otherwise, we shall disperse. Right, Yogi Ramsuratkumar.